It is Thursday, the 13th of November, 2025 at Protestia Studios, and this is an intelligence briefing coming to you from Protestia.com, where, as always, you can go to find the latest in Christian polemics and discernment news. Thank you for joining us. Sign up as an insider supporter if you would be so kind over at patreon.com/Protestia. Get exclusive content and ad-free browsing on the website. Let's get into the headlines. First headline at Protestia.com. N.T. Wright defends annihilationism, suggests Judas ceased to exist. Famed New Testament scholar N.T. Wright has weighed in on the state of those who explicitly reject Christ and salvation, suggesting they'll simply be annihilated or exist in some state of being a creation but not an image bearer. We last wrote about N.T. Wright after he suggested that abortion may be a tragic yet best allowable option in cases of rape, incest, or for the mental health of the mother who can't deal with a child with physical and mental deformities, that belief in the bodily resurrection of Christ is not necessary to be a Christian, that Adam and Eve were simply a primal pair of hominids, a type of primates that first appeared supposedly 5 to 7 million years ago, living among other hominids when some strange force or power called to be a part of the human project, and that God will save billions of people who have never heard of Jesus, but are, quote, following the light they have been given so far. Speaking during an episode of Premier Unbelievable, N.T. Wright notes that he's not a universalist, but neither does he necessarily believe people will be damned to hell or end up in heaven one day. We have the quotes written out in our article over at Protestia.com. There may also be a clip of this over on Protestia's X account. I am not sure, but in any case, head over to see all of the links that we have from chronicling the teachings or misteachings of N.T. Wright over the last several years. Next article at Protestia.com. Polyamory supporting youth pastor blesses marriage of 4 men to each other. A youth pastor in Germany has drawn fierce criticism after blessing the union, quote unquote, of 4 men to each other at a public wedding event, insisting that the LGBTQ polycule were now married before God. This is Lena Mueller initially posting the picture earlier this month in a since deleted Instagram post, writing, quote, "On Friday evening, I was allowed to celebrate my first poly wedding." Mueller and her church are part of the evangelical church Berling Brandenburg Silesian Upper Lusatia, the EKBO. That's probably a little bit easier to say. A progressive denomination with a membership of 880,000 and nearly 1,800 churches. Each year, they hold a pop-up wedding festival in Berlin where people can come without pre-registration to get married, with everything already taken care of, including pastors to officiate, music, and a decorated venue. Let's see, we have some pictures here to show. It looks like this is her. I think these are maybe other Instagram pictures of this. It seems like the video of her conducting this quote-unquote marriage between 4 men is no longer online. I guess that was deleted. Maybe too much heat, I guess. I don't know. It was far too horrific and offensive to God. I don't know, but you can read more about that over at Protestia.com. Next headline: Fulani herdsmen kill 15 Christians in central Nigeria. This coming to us from the Christian Daily International Morning and Morningstar News. Fulani herdsmen on Thursday, November 6th, so this would have been almost 2 weeks ago at this point, killed 2 Christians in Nigeria's Nasarawa State and 2 others in Plateau State following the slaughter of 11 Christians in the latter states earlier in the week, sources say. In Nasarawa State's predominantly Christian Sarkin Noma village, Kena County herdsmen invaded at about 11 p.m. while residents were sleeping in their homes, killing 2 Christians and abducting another, said area resident Dushima Say. Musa Adamu, another resident, confirmed the killings and the kidnapping. We at Protestia we're happy that the attention is now being brought to what really is persecution and martyrdom of Christians specifically being overlooked by the government in Nigeria. Now, apparently, it has come to the attention of Donald Trump, the President of the United States, and hopefully that will bring much needed attention to this this scourge that's largely been ignored by mainstream media and even Christian media largely. Our friend Judge Saul over at Equipping the Persecuted has been doing great work in Nigeria for a long time, and we would recommend that you head over to their website to see how you might be able to get involved. They should be at equippingthepersecuted.com. Might be .org, but I'm pretty sure it's .com. Either way, if you search for that, you're going to find the work that they are doing to help Nigerian Christians. Moving on, next headline, openly gay married ABC News anchor joins Catholic Church with a confirmation mass. Gio Benitez, the openly gay ABC News anchor, has rejoined the Roman Catholic Church and reaffirmed his faith, receiving a confirmation mass with his quote-unquote husband at his side. The Good Morning America co-anchor was confirmed at Church of St. Paul the Apostle with his quote-unquote husband, Tommy Daddario, serving as his sponsor. The church is known for its gay-friendly progressivism, including holding its infamous Stonewall Pride Mass. There is also their Out at St. Paul, OSP, which is their ministry for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people and their allies, their affiliation and promotion of Newsway Ministry, and the time they hosted an art exhibit titled God is Trans, A Queer Spiritual Journey, which you can see now on the screen. This was the Out at St. Paul thing that they did recently. Benitez explained on Instagram that 6 months ago, the death of a humble pope unexpectedly took him on a journey that was a lifetime in the making. He was on Good Morning America speaking about Pope Francis's legacy of inclusivity. His words struck me. It was the first time I had seen a Catholic priest speaking in such a beautiful way about LGBTQ people. This was the Instagram post. We're not going to play it for you, but you can head over to protestia.com to see for yourself. We're going to move on. Next headline, new film The Carpenter's Son, starring Nicolas Cage as Jesus' dad, is panned by critics. The new film The Carpenter's Son, starring actor Nicolas Cage as Joseph, the father of Jesus, has been panned by critics, receiving 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. Of course, I'll insert some commentary here. I'm not convinced necessarily that percentages of professional critics will give us the best view of whether or not we will like a movie, but they don't seem to like this one all that much. Directed by Lofty Nathan and billed as a, quote, horror flick, the film is adapted not from the Bible, but from the Apocrypha, especially the infancy gospel of Thomas, which depicts the life of Jesus growing up and discovering his supernatural powers. So interesting that secular critics would pan such a movie. They seem to like to side with things that are subversive about what the Bible actually teaches. The Metacritic summary reads, a remote village in Roman-era Egypt explodes into spiritual warfare when a carpenter, his wife, and their child are targeted by supernatural forces in The Carpenter's Son. Joseph, Mary, and their teenage son Jesus have lived for years under threat, clinging to their faith and traditions, but a stopover in a small settlement unleashes growing chaos when a mysterious stranger tries to entice young Jesus to abandon his devout father's rules. It's rated R for brief nudity, strong, bloody, violent content, so on and so forth. So, not something that we would recommend, obviously. Next headline over at Protestia, second woman accuses ACNA Archbishop Stephen Wood of sexual harassment a month after the former children's ministry director at St. Andrew's Church, Claire Buxton, accused the Archbishop of the Anglican Church in North America, Stephen Wood, of sexual impropriety. A second woman has come forward claiming she too was sexually harassed. The new allegation against the married father of four, detailed in the Washington Post, comes from an ecclesiastical complaint submitted to the denomination by Jane Doe and reads in part, I have a complaint against Archbishop Steve Wood of sexual misconduct in the form of sexual harassment, to include pressuring me to be in situations I was uncomfortable with, even after I expressed my discomfort, pressuring me to be in a private space with him one-on-one, to drink alcohol with him despite me saying it was inappropriate and that I was uncomfortable. I do not wish to go into further detail now for fear of being identified. While declining interviews, Jane Doe 1 said she will cooperate with a church investigation and provide more information so long as she can remain anonymous. We will continue to follow the story. Next headline over at Protestia, judge rules $1 million defamation suit against Robert Morris and the church can proceed. A Dallas judge has ruled that Sidney Clemenshire's $1 million defamation suit against convicted pedophile Robert Morris and his former church Gateway will proceed. Clementshire launched the civil suit against Morris, his wife, and nearly a dozen Gateway Church elders, alleging they made false statements to cover up Morris's sexual abuse. In early October, he pled guilty to 5 counts of lewd and indecent conduct and received a 6-month prison sentence. Attorneys for the church and a group of current elders argue that any lawsuit should fall under the doctrine of ecclesiastical abstention, which prevents courts from interfering in church governance and operations. Judge Emily Tobolowsky disagreed, however, ruling that the defamation suit can proceed. She also denied the motion by 4 Gateway Church elders named as co-defendants to dismiss the lawsuit. Along with the suit, Gateway is being sued for millions of dollars by people who have claimed their tithes were misappropriated and is battling a lawsuit from Morris himself over millions of dollars in unpaid severance as part of his retirement package. Of course, we will continue to follow that story very closely. Last story for this intelligence briefing: Stone Choir announces the end of their podcast. No new episodes. Oh, I'm heartbroken, let me tell you. The virulently racist Stone Choir, has announced they've shuttered their podcast, won't be releasing any new episodes, explaining that Stone Choir 107 episode, the Stone Choir's 107 episode canon is now closed. Stone Choir was the brainchild of Corey Mahler and Ryan Dumperth, the latter known as Treble Woe. We've covered Mahler in the past, who is known for rage-baiting his followers with pointed pro-Hitler posts, claiming black folk are un-American pigs and that marrying them is tantamount to murder. We have evidence in the latest post here at Protestia, but also links to the prior one where we kind of went through the history of Mahler's overt and sinful racism on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can see those there, but for those of us that have had the unfortunate experience of suffering through a Stone Choir podcast. It's not only is it ridiculous in terms of its historical revisionism, logical leaps. It's just it's a trip down a racist rabbit hole that really has no bearing in reality. But it sounds convincing. If you speak it well enough, it sounds convincing. And unfortunately, it seems to have pulled a lot of young men into its orbit. I don't know what kind of work we may be doing in the wake of their podcast stopping as far as exposing it, but if we have the time, we certainly will, and we'll see what that brings about. But in the meantime, you can see the trove of evidence of how bad it really is at Protestia. You just need to look for Stone Choir. You will see the articles and things discussing this. And we will continue on the story if there is a story to continue on. Thank you for joining me for this intelligence briefing coming to you from Protestia.com. Stay tuned to Protestia for all of your latest in Christian polemics and discernment news. We will see you again real soon. As always, Semper Reformanda.